Hi, this is Algebra 2, Lesson 44. We're going to be solving right triangles, and we're starting on page 195. Sines, cosines, and tangents are ratios and are always the same for any given angle. So the sine of 37 degrees is 0.6. The sine of 37 degrees is the cosine of 37 degrees is 0.8. The tangent of 37 degrees is 0.75. Since these ratios depend only on the size of the angles and not on the lengths of the sides of the triangles, we can use them to find missing parts of right triangles. So here we have a right triangle, and we need to find the missing parts. Okay, so for angles we have this right triangle. This angle is 24 degrees. This angle is B degrees. That's one of the things we need to find. This side is 9.5. This side we don't know, it's Y. And this side, which would be the hypotenuse, is H. Okay? The sum of the interior angles of any triangle is 180. So B is going to equal 180 degrees minus this angle, which is 90 degrees, plus this angle, 24. Okay? 90 plus 24 is 114. So 180 minus 114 equals 66 degrees. So that equals B. Okay? Now we're going to work with what we know to find H and Y. So if we start with this angle, which was given, we can find H by finding the cosine of 24 degrees. The cosine of 24 degrees is going to equal the adjacent side, which is 9.5, over the hypotenuse, which is H. If we solve for H, we can multiply both sides by H. That'll get it out of the denominator, and we'll have 9.5 equals H times the cosine of 24 degrees. We divide both sides by the cosine of 24 degrees. And H equals 9.5 over the cosine of 24 degrees. So you're going to punch this into the calculator, and you're going to find that H equals 10.40. Okay? Now we need to find Y. We can take the same angle and find Y by using the tangent function. The tangent of 24 degrees equals the opposite over the adjacent. So that's going to be Y over 9.5. If we multiply both sides by 9.5, these will cancel, and we'll get Y equals 9.5 times the tangent of 24 degrees. You punch that into your calculator, and you will find that this equals 4.23. We also could have solved Y and H using B, which we said was 66 degrees. So if we had used B, we could have found Y by using the tangent function. So the tangent of B, which is 66 degrees, is going to equal the opposite over the adjacent. So that would be 9.5 times Y. Multiply both sides by Y, and we get Y times the tangent of 66 degrees equals 9.5, because these cancel. And then we divide both sides by the tangent of 66 degrees. And Y equals 9.5 over the tangent of 66 degrees. And that actually equals 4.23. Okay? We could have also solved H using the 66 degrees by using the sine. So the sine of B, which is 66 degrees, is the opposite, which is 9.5 over the hypotenuse. Multiply both sides by h to get rid of the denominator, and we'll have 9.5 equals h times the sine of 66. Divide both sides by the sine of 66. This cancels, and we're left with h equals 9.5 over the sine of 66, and that equals 10.4. Okay? So the beauty of these is that there are multiple ways of doing them depending on which information you have. Let's try another one. Alright, we're once again finding the missing parts of the triangle. We're going to look at the angles before we start playing with numbers. So here's the right triangle. The side opposite the right triangle is 14, so that's going to be the hypotenuse. Because it's the hypotenuse, it's also going to be the largest side. So we know that x and m are both going to be smaller than 14. If we look at the triangle, sometimes you can't tell, but in this case, x seems to be smaller than m. So we would expect m to be larger than x when we find out the measurements. And thinking about these things helps you decide at the end whether your answers are reasonable. Okay? If x is the smallest side, then 35 is also going to be the smallest degreed angle. Okay? So, let's start filling in the missing parts. We know this angle is 90 and this angle is 35, so this angle B is going to have to be 180 minus 90 plus 35, which equals 180 minus 125, which equals 55 degrees. So B equals 55 degrees. We can find x by taking the sine of 35 degrees, which will be x over 14. So the sine of 35 degrees equals the opposite, x over the hypotenuse, 14. Multiply both sides by 14, and x equals 14 times the sine of 35, which equals 8.03. Okay? M is going to, we can find m using the cosine of 35. So the cosine of 35 is going to equal the adjacent, which is m over 14, which is the hypotenuse. You can multiply both sides by 14. And m equals 14 times the cosine of 35 degrees, which equals 11.47. So sure enough, m is bigger than x, and both of them are smaller than 14. Okay? Let's try another one. Find the missing parts of the triangle. When two sides of a right triangle are given, we can find the third side using the Pythagorean theorem. So don't forget to use the knowledge you already have. So we have the hypotenuse is 7, this side is 6, and this side is x. So we know that 7 squared is going to equal 6 squared plus x squared using the using the Pythagorean theorem. So 49 equals 36 plus x squared. We should subtract 36 from both sides. This is 13 equals x squared, so x equals the square root of 13. Okay? Now we know the sides, and we need to find the angles. This is an ugly number, so as much as possible, we're going to use the not quite so ugly sides. Using this side will still give you the right answer. It's just one more complicated thing to punch into the calculator. So if possible, we're going to try not to. So here is b. The opposite of b is 6, and the hypotenuse is 7. So the sine of b is going to equal 6 over 7. It's the opposite over the hypotenuse. That means that the inverse sine of 6/7 equals b degrees. You punch this into your calculator, and you're going to get b equals 59 degrees. Okay, it actually equals 58.99728, but that's going to round up to 59.0. To find a, we can use the cosine of a equals 6 over 7. The cosine of a degrees equals 6 over 7. Therefore, the inverse cosine of 6 over 7 equals a degrees. You punch this into the calculator and you get a equals 31.0027. The 2 is not going to make either of those zeros move up, so we're just going to write 31.0 degrees. Okay, if we checked this, if we checked our angles, we would find that 59 plus 31 equals 90, plus 90 is 180 degrees. So all of our interior angles add up to 180 degrees. And since this is a triangle, that is correct. Okay, that's it for this lesson. Try your practice problems in your homework and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks!